What is up, conquerors? If you're in the house, if you're live, if you're here, let me see you on the chat. Everyone check in. What's up, Chad, Tony, Justin, Ryan, David? Hope you guys are doing well. Really appreciate you joining. This is going to be an awesome presentation. This is one that, for me, honestly, I feel like when we got this sales machine dialed in on our commercial side of our business, really everything changed for us and our business. It was the first time in my business when I really felt like I found a lever. And with this lever, I could print money. And there was really no limit to how big our company could grow in size. And I think it's really, really important for all of us as service business owners, as entrepreneurs, to really find ways that we can train and delegate our own personal efforts so that growing our business isn't just completely reliant on just us. How many of you guys in here would like to have something to where you could train someone to go out, put together proposals for your business and send them out and literally send thousands upon thousands? One of the things that we were doing this last about year and a half in our business before I sold was sending out $250,000 worth of unsolicited proposals every single week. And it wasn't myself that was sending those out. It was actually someone who we had in the Philippines who we were paying $4 an hour to send out all these proposals. So I want to teach you guys how to do that exact same thing here on this webinar today, this masterclass. Does that sound awesome? Does that sound cool? Give me a big thumbs up, some fist bumps if you guys are totally ready to go, and we're going to launch into this presentation. So what we are going to cover for today is this right here, building a commercial sales machine. And that's really what it's all about. It's about, oops, let's go ahead and do that. It's about building a commercial sales machine, one that can just kind of run without you. And this webinar is going to be a little bit different in the fact that I don't have lots of slides for you guys on here. It's going to be really in-depth, me sharing my screen, walking step by step through my process and what we did with our business to kind of build this machine. And I want to show you all the individual components on exactly how we built this machine so that you guys can duplicate it just as well. So what I'm going to do is let me go ahead and make sure that you guys can see my screen here. Get this pulled up. Okay. So can everybody, oh, nope, you can't see my screen here. Let me go ahead and try this one more time. Turn screen share on. Here we go. Okay. Everyone should be able to see that here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with one of the very first parts of building a commercial sales machine. And the way we're going to do that is I'm going to show you exactly how I put together my proposals. What's really, really important whenever you're building a sales machine is you have to have a really clearly documented process of how you put together your quotes. One of the number one things that I see a lot of businesses do whenever they put together their quoting systems is that they have all their information up inside their head. So what that means is they're like, oh yeah, I can look at this job and know that it's going to take me about 4 hours worth of time. And so if it takes me 4 hours worth of time, then I'm going to charge X amount for this job. Well, the problem with that is that it's not duplicatable. It's very, very difficult. It takes a long time to train somebody how to look at a job and guesstimate how long it's going to take. So what's really important is to put together a solid plan in place so that you can, systematically every single time put together a quote, and that person, without very much information on what the job is like or how they should be quoting things, they should be able to put together a reasonably predictable quote. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you exactly how we put together our quotes first of all. And then you guys can kind of adapt your own methods for doing that as well. So this is a website here that's called Daft Logic. And one of the reasons and advantages of using this site here is basically you can create multiple buildings, and this is specifically for apartment buildings. So you can go around and you can quote and measure out multiple buildings, multiple areas. It'll add them all together and give you a total, rather than having to go into something like Google Maps, measure out one building at a time and have to add it up separately. This is a good little tool that we use to put some of this stuff together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and walk you through measuring out one of these properties. So this is the website here, Daft Logic. If you Google Daft Logic Area Calculator tool, you'll come straight to here. You can look at the map, and here's just an example apartment community that we have that's in our local area. What's nice about this is you can go through and actually measure out this entire community, and I'm going to do it kind of rough right here. It doesn't have to be totally exact for our purposes right now, but I'm going to go ahead and measure this property out. Let me zoom in a little bit more. That'll help. So you can see, you can get pretty detailed with it. You can go in, you can edit some of your measurements. Just for really quick purposes, I'm just going to go ahead and do a little rough estimate on here. Okay. So now that we have this area measured out here, I want to scroll down. And what it does is it gives us a couple different dimensions right here. It tells us exactly what the square footage is of this green area. And it also tells us what the perimeter is, which is that red line that goes all the way around. The nice part about this tool here is that you can click Create New Area, and then you can come over to a new area, zoom in, and you can repeat the process. Again, I'll just do kind of a little rough measurement. You can see how you can really get, exactly dialed in here. But I don't want you guys just watching me measure out a community building this whole presentation. So you can have now this current area right here, how much square feet's here, what the perimeter is here, and then we have a total. So it'll automatically add up the totals. So what we would do is we would go around and we would measure out this community. And you can see, this community has a decent amount of apartment buildings, but it would probably take one person about 5 minutes to go around and measure out all of this, maybe 10 minutes to go around and measure out all of these buildings. So once these buildings are all put together, then we have a square footage and we have linear footage that are all put together. That's data for us to be able to build out our proposals. The next component of it is, let me go ahead and pull up my sheet here, pricing tables. So this is an example of what our pricing tables look like here for our business. This is an example. I've changed some of these numbers here. They're not my exact ones, but they are a guide. So what we would do is we would have a price per square foot here. We would have light stains per square foot. Oops, we got all my columns here all screwy. We have light stains per square foot, heavy stains, but we'd have a price per square foot on how we measure these out. So we would take our square footage and multiply it by a pitch factor. So going back to this screen right here, make sure you guys see everything. Oh, not seeing the pricing table. Okay, hold on one sec, guys. Let me go ahead and change my screen share here. Here we go, your entire screen. Okay, so we would take our square footages here, and then we go down here to our pricing table. There you go. Now we can see it. Go to our pricing table, and you see that we have all of our square footage prices here. If it's an asphalt shingle roof, a composition roof, if it's barrel tile, slate, metal, cedar shake, how much we charge for siding to soft wash, all the different materials with some notes. You guys need to put together a pricing table for your business that lists out all of your services that you offer with a very clear, easy way that is duplicatable on putting together your quotes. That's the important part. When you bring on sales teams or when you want to build a sales machine, you have to have an easy, duplicatable system for measuring out these properties. So for instance, with these two buildings, what we would do is we would take a look at this, and You can go down here. You can see kind of a 3D view. You can actually go all the way around this building, and you could take a look at kind of what the roof pitch is. You can see this roof pitch is pretty mild. It's not too steep. It's probably about like a 6 pitch right here. So going back to this pricing guide, we would look at our 6 pitch, and I'd multiply it by 1.583. So going back to here, we'll take a look at our total square footage, which is 17,923. We times that by 1.58, and that gives us a square footage. Going back to our pricing table, if we're going to be somewhere around the neighborhood of 20 cents a square foot, I times that by 20 cents a square foot, and we'd have 5,664. There's our base price. So here you can see that's how easy it is to do. Now, for someone like me who has, let's say, no knowledge of what to look for on jobs, this is very easy way that you can put together a sales process that is trainable. So this is really the basic foundation. Before you start putting together your sales machine, step one is to put together these components: a pricing chart, put together a very specific process that can be replicatable. Okay. Now, next step in building a sales monster, a sales machine, is we got to get a list of properties that we are going to send out proposals to. So telling you exactly how you can put this together, I want to go ahead and jump over here to my local library. Now, what's really cool about this tool is that you can go onto your local library and you can get data and actually put together lists of property managers, apartment buildings, realtors, painters. This is a really fantastic way to start building out your network and building out lists for you to start cold calling. We're going to use a tool called Reference USA. But if you go to your local library, you can start using these tools through your local library. So I want you to go ahead. This is my local library here. If I click on research, I can click on research tools. These are all the research tools that are available. Reference USA you can only access through a local library. It's available at my library here. And when I click begin using this resource, it has me enter my library card. So I'm going to enter my library card and my PIN number. And now I have access to Reference USA. Are you excited so far? This is really cool. You guys got to give me a thumbs up if you can still hear me. The room's awful quiet. I need some love and support here. Tell me that you're on board. You're seeing what I'm showing here. Everyone good? Give me some thumbs up. Okay, cool. All right. So next steps. We're going to go over here to the U.S. Business Database, and we're going to do an advanced search. So now in this advanced search, look at all these options. Look at all these juicy options that we can start putting together an incredible sales list. How awesome is this? So I'm going to have a few filters that I'm going to put in here. I want to look for a keyword, and I want to find like a radius. How many businesses are going to be, around here? Okay, so check this out. I'm going to search for apartments. Guys, you're going to love this. Someone type in the comments a zip code. If someone's in like a decently populated area, give me like a zip code of an area that we can actually start searching for to put together a list. Someone put in the comments below your zip code here, and we'll go ahead and use you as an example. And I want to take a drink of water while you do that. Mario for the win. Mario, quick on the draw. Okay. 07009. All right, Mario, we're going to put this together for you. So I'm going to put 07009, the zip code. And what's Mario's service radius? He'd probably travel maybe 20 miles, let's say. We're not going to go for very, very big far, but we're going to go ahead and update this count. And what it's going to do is it's going to search through. Oops, I got to select the apartments. That's a little too much. So I selected the apartments here. Let's go ahead and update counts. Look at this, 2,946. 2,946 apartments around your area, Mara. I think that you actually have more than myself. You guys want to see the results? Check this out. I'm going to click View Results and look at how, oh, has to prove I'm not a robot. Yeah, not a robot. Look at this. Look at all these apartments that are on here. We have company name, we have executive name, street address, city, state, zip, phone number. 118 pages worth of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. I'm going to select a couple pages worth here. You guys getting excited yet? You're going to check this out. I'm just going to go ahead and we're just going to pick 100 records right here. So we're going to pick 100 records. Oh, got to prove I'm not a robot again. They didn't used to have this before. I think there was people that would just send robots in to start farming this. Okay, so here we go. We got 100 records selected. I'm going to download this. See this little fine print here, 250 downloads are per search. So you can only do 250 at a time. Then you have to go in and download the next 250. Now in Mario's case, he has, a couple thousand that are here, but we're going to go ahead and download this record and see what it looks like. So now that we've downloaded this, let's take a look at the Excel file. Okay. So look at all this information that we have now. We have the company name. We have the executive name, not on all of them, but we have the executive name. That doesn't really matter too much anyways. We have credit score. We have, let's see, executive gender, executive title. We have a location, employee size range, how many employees work at this location. We have the location sales volume, how big of an apartment community this is. Now, this data isn't always exactly 100% accurate, we've found, but it doesn't really matter because you're going to contact all these people. Does it really matter to you if it's a smaller apartment community or a bigger apartment community? Not really. Even smaller apartment communities can be worth, $5,000 to $10,000 just on that alone. So we have all this information here. We have all this stuff here. How awesome is this list? Guess how much we paid for it? $0. Didn't pay anything for it. So now you can start building out a list. You can start building out a list, a prospecting list. Now, one of the things that I love about this tool, we're going to go back and we're going to do a new search. I see some of you guys asking some questions here with regards to, your library doesn't necessarily have it. That's okay. There's libraries, around you that will have it. They're in most major libraries, but if you're in like a smaller city that doesn't maybe quite have that, I'm sure all of us as a Conquer group too, we can probably have a library card to where everyone can access this. Don't worry about that. We'll get it all figured out. These resources will be available. Again, this class is only for you guys in the Conquer program. So we'll make sure that we get everyone access to this. Check out another cool way that we can use this. One of the things that I absolutely loved doing was putting together lists of painting companies. Now, I had a cleaning company. Some of you have different companies like plumbing, electrical, garage door installations, landscaping. But to build out your network, you need to have other companies in maybe a different industry that have the same kind of customers as you. And networking together is really, really important. So I actually use this tool to put together my lists of, let's say, painting companies. So what I would do is I would go in and we'd follow the exact same steps. We'd go to keyword and I go for radius. And let's say I wanted to find a list of painting companies. Go ahead and type in, let's just type in paint in case it's painters. We go ahead and click paint and look at, wow, there's a lot of painting here. Let's just type in painters. Looking for the more generic one. There we go. Painters. And let's try someone else's zip code here. I want to go back down and pick the next person on the list. We'll try Kevin's. So Kevin's list, 29644. We're going to go ahead and do a 20-mile radius around Kevin. We're going to update this. Look, there's 69 painters that are in your area. So what I would do is I'd pull this list up. And look at all these painters that are here. Some of them have the owner's name, some of them don't, but that's okay. So what we would do is I would export this list out, I would download it, and one by one I would go through and I would call these up. And this is what the conversation would sound like if it was me in my business. So let's say I'd call up Craig. Hey, Craig, my name is Brandon with All Clean. Hey, I just wanted to give you a call. I get so many customers that are always asking me if I, know of any good painters. And honestly, I don't really have anything to tell them. So what I wanted to do is get in touch with you, learn a little bit about your business, and maybe see if I could stop by sometime and get some of your business cards. Just trying to network with other painters in the area. Can you tell me a little bit about your business? And then that takes their guard down, right? And they'll be like, yeah, me. They'll talk all about themselves because people love to talk about themselves. And then what ends up happening is they say at the end of the conversation, well, now, wait a minute, tell me about your company again. What do you guys do? Oh, we do cleaning. I'm a local business owner right here. We service the same area. I'm sure we have a lot of the same customers. And then they'll start saying things like, wow, you know what? This is actually perfect timing because, we're getting into the busy season and man, we hate cleaning all of our homes before we actually go in and paint them. We'd rather, subcontract that out to somebody else. Yeah, I'd love to meet with you. And then just start setting appointments. And I would repeat this process hundreds upon hundreds of times. I would spend days doing nothing but just being on the phone, hammering these lists. I would print out lists of painters, real estate agents. I'd print out lists of, contractors, landscapers, tree removal companies. Just go through all the entire list with tree removal companies. We're looking for people that could trim back, overhanging trees over the roofs that we're doing. And we see these all the time. We'd love to be able to refer someone. You can start building up a network, go out, meet with these people, get their business cards. It's just a hugely, massively powerful way to start networking with everybody. So anyways, that's just a little extra bonus tip for you guys on building your sales machine. You got to start networking with these people. You got to start getting in touch with them. Okay, so now we have our list. We're going to go ahead and pull up our list here. Go back to Mario's list. Now we have a bunch of information in here that really we don't need. We don't really care about their credit score, their gender, fax number, all this information. Really, the only thing that I really care about is all these other records. So I can delete this here, just kind of clean up my data, make it a little bit more. And you could go back through and you could keep re-downloading these, adding them to the list, just create literally thousands upon thousands of these. And that's what we did. So now you have kind of a starting point on how you can start building out a database of apartment buildings or commercial buildings or whatever kind of buildings, a commercial that you're trying to, pull together. You can pull up gas stations. You can cold call gas stations and put together budget proposals for cleaning their stations. We used to do that. We actually landed a $120,000 a year account using this method. It was a cold call, but we were able to get their business and landed literally a $120,000 account from this. So we have this list here that we're going to go ahead and start working with. We already know now how to price together jobs and put together information. So the next step that we have to do is we have to start building out a database. And this is kind of what we would do with our database. So we would have this information here, but then we'd start adding additional columns over here. What kind of siding type it is, what kind of roof type it is, what's the pitch on the roof, how many number of units there are, how many number of floors, what is the square footage of the siding on this building, what is the lineal footage of this building, what's the square footage of the roof. And then we put together pricing based upon this right here, what the roof is, what the siding is, how much it's due to do the gutters. And we would build out thousands of these, thousands upon thousands. So I'm just going to really quickly just select. This list isn't one of our bigger lists, but let me just show you really quickly. This is just a partial list here, but this is $2.6 million worth of work right here on this list, putting this together. You think this would be worthwhile to start building a database like this? What if you gave a proposal to every single apartment community in your service area, every single one, whether they asked for it or not. Would you close a percentage of them? Absolutely you would. For us, the target that we tried to shoot for was about 10% of them closed over the course of 3 years. Some of them would take longer to actually close. But when you're creating the budget for them, they actually get the benefit of having it in their budget. Have you ever talked to a apartment manager or a commercial building, and you know what they said? They would say, "Oh yeah, we'd love to use you, but we just don't have you in the budget. We don't have you in the budget this year." If you gave them the budget, then they have you in their budget. So the money's there, the money's ready for you. They already kind of have a rough idea on what this is. So now we're going to go ahead and build out the next part of this. So we see all this data here, and you're probably thinking like, oh my gosh, that is so much data. That's going to take so long to do this. There's no way that would take me so long to put this together. You're right. It would take you a long time to put this together, which is why we utilize a global economy to help build out these databases. Everyone with me so far? Like you to give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up that you're with me and everything's good. Say yes, you're engaged. I do see some questions and stuff that are going to go on here. We'll go through and I can read back through some of the questions and answer those questions. But we're going to go ahead and keep pressing forward. We got a lot to get through here. Awesome. Cool. Okay. I want to introduce you guys to something called freelancers, Upwork, virtual assistants, freelancer.com. There's all different kinds of ways that you can leverage this. But when I discovered this, it changed massively how I looked at business, how I looked at my business, and it opened my eyes to the fact that I could hire somebody from the Philippines, Pakistan, India. I could hire them, and $3-4 an hour is worth a lot over there. We've been doing some global travel this last year, and literally we could go to where we were staying in Africa. Someone who is making $4 an hour had a very nice home, the nicest home on their neighborhood, really. The dollar is very, very strong in some of these other areas. So someone who's making $3, $4, $5 an hour in their country actually has like a starter home that they own, and they take care of their whole family. They could be a sole provider for their family. They're not working for pennies. They're actually working for a very good living wage. It's the reason why you can go move to a place like India and buy a house for $10,000 or less. And there's a reason why. It's because the dollar is so strong. So you can take advantage of the strength of our dollar and start utilizing the global economy to get this work done for very, very inexpensive, especially when it's just a lot of menial data entry that is very easily trained, which is why you have to have a really solid, trained, documented process. So what I've done here is I have literally just typed into Upwork.com. I did find freelancers, and we're just searching for people to do data entry. And we have all these data entry specialists. And here's this gentleman here, $3 an hour. He has 5 years experience in data entry. We could click on him and we could check him out. Working knowledge in Microsoft Excel, Word, Google Docs, spreadsheets, and Google Maps. He has tests that they actually take that test their proficiencies in different things. They also have tests that they take on how fluent they are in English, how fluent they are in certain things. But the big thing is this job success rate. When you have someone that's worked a lot of hours on Upwork, has earned a sizable income on this platform and has a really high job success rate, you know that they're a good individual. You know that there's someone that can be worthwhile to hire. And you can see some people that don't have as much job success rates. But for the most part, I mean, look, here's a guy here that says he's in Canada, and $3.78 an hour. He's earned $80,000. He has a 99% job success rate. So this is someone you can invite to work on your project. And one of the things that we did was we would actually just create a video, just like I'm showing you right now, of exactly how I want things to be measured, how I look at things, how I calculate what areas of the roof actually have gutters, what don't have gutters, where they could go in and very specifically measure all this stuff out. So you could hire one of these individuals to work for you on your team and have a tremendous amount of success. So that's what we did. We hired a gentleman. His name was Muhammad, and he was from Pakistan, and he was a total rock star. We would get pictures of him with his family, with his kids. He was so appreciative for the work. He was so appreciative for the opportunity to be able to work for our company, and he was an awesome member to our team that we have. So Muhammad would go in, and he would build out this list here. He would get the information. I taught him, how to look for, siding and how to kind of guess if it was vinyl or wood, based upon the patterns. Honestly, this really doesn't matter too much. You're doing budget proposals anyways. But he could figure out the difference between a shingle roof and a metal roof and a barrel roof. Was pretty easy for him. And then the number of units, typically what we would do is we would go to a site like apartments.com. And we would, let's go ahead and take a look at we could take a look at different communities, and we could go down here under their information here, and it would tell us how many units there are and tell us the number of stories. So he would actually pull data off of this as well. If he couldn't, readily, easily, see it, he could pull in the number of units as well. So so there's a lot of people that put together pricing based upon number of units, and unit pricing, X amount per unit, is also a way that you can put together pricing and have that be a column, and then do your pricing put together that way. So that's really great. Okay, so we have our team member that understands how to price the jobs, how to put them together. We provided him with the tool to be able to actually put this data in. The final step is the delivery of this information to the actual customers themselves. Really quickly, let me just go ahead and take a look at some comments here and some questions. We'll go ahead and take a little quick break and answer some questions here. Okay, let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen. Okay, so going through some questions. Andy asks, I do work plumbing not seen from the rooftop. Thoughts or ideas for leveraging this same system? Yes. If you want to send out tons of proposals to apartment managers, with regards to how many units they have, some kind of maintenance work or a maintenance package, and what a maintenance package would be to cover maintenance on their entire apartment community, that could be something that you could utilize as well. Kevin, I'm not in the cleaning industry. I'm a tree guy. How could I use this info for my advantage? That's a good question. I mean, for sure, use the reference USA to network with other companies. But with regards to, commercial buildings and commercial with apartments, I know that they have tree work that needs to get done. If you could take a look at, map properties and do like an overhead shot, have a virtual assistant take an overhead snapshot of their properties and then mark up what areas look like the trees could be encroaching into their properties, you could send, you could utilize a virtual assistant to send out a proposal to all of the property managers with an overhead shot, warning areas, and then try to have the call to action be to have me come out and take a look at it, in person with you. I know that when I look at Google Maps, I can see trees that are overhanging on properties, and that could be a way that maybe you might be able to, take advantage. Imagine getting a proposal with an actual picture, Google satellite imagery of where it's encroaching on their buildings. That could be cool. That's just off the top of my head here. Yes, this video is going to be recorded. It's going to be in Basecamp, so don't worry about that. Let's see here. Voice bomb them. What do you think, Brandon? Tony asks. Voice bomb only works with cell phones, and most of these numbers on here will be landlines. So I don't know if voicemail bomb them would be that way. Pricing page. Yes, we are going to have a pricing page uploaded to Basecamp. It's not going to be all of our prices, obviously, but we will have the format for you guys to be able to build out a pricing structure just like this. That document will be going up into Basecamp. Let's see. Okay. All right. We got some questions. Any sites in Canada? Yeah, I think There is actually, Sean. We can talk about this in the Conquer Facebook group too, and get a little bit more information on this. Grass cutter. Yes, I know that some people, Kevin, they'll actually put together pricing based upon, they can actually measure out the square footage of the landscaping from Google Earth and actually put together some proposals that way as well. So, routine cuts and maintenance and landscaping could also be a way that you could, leverage this information to put together proposals. Really, you're getting this information. Even if you guys just had the addresses of these, you could send them packets. You could use these as just a cold call list. What we would have is my director of commercial services would take this list and he would stop in at every single one of these and mark it off of his list. And we have a list that he just go through, leave notes, leave packages, leave swag, things that you can, kind of put together for that. So let me show you guys a couple different options for putting together proposals. So I'm going to show you a couple different proposal options. There's two that I'm going to show you. One I'm going to show you, this is an example proposal that I just threw together so you guys could take a look at it. This was a proposal called Quote Roller. There's another proposal that I'm going to show you that is called Better Proposals. That actually Brennan, one of our fellow conquerors, Brennan Williams, he actually referred me onto this one, and I'm in love with this. I actually love this way better than the ones that we use. But basically, the proposal looked like this. It was in the digital format that we would send off. So we would send it to them directly and have them click on it. They could watch embedded videos right into the proposal itself. They could look a little bit, about us. They could learn a little bit more information about our company. They learn about our Ask the Seal certification. They learn about, we'd have our pricing table built out. This is just an example of one here, but we would list all of the services here that would be on this list. We'd also list off our client references of customers that we've done work for in the past. So with this information, this is also another proposal method that you can use to send off. This is an example of what the proposal could look like. So sending this off to a customer, it could say, hi there, planning on getting cleaning done around your property this year? We've put together a complimentary budget for you. This is based upon measuring your profit through satellite images. We have not visited your site in person. Important to mention that. Pricing may be plus or minus 25% depending on the level of staining, but usually we're pretty close. Let us know what services you'd be interested in. We'll be happy to do an on-site visit and sharpen our pencil. So then we have the different requested services here below. So they could click on these and they could, pick which ones they want. And then they could actually just book them, could scroll down further and actually just sign and accept it there. Or they could contact you, reply back, ask for you to come out, look at it on person. You can enter in, different descriptions for each one of these. Pretty awesome proposal system. And actually, if I was to now choose between the two, I would choose Better Proposals. You can have photo and video galleries. So you can embed videos. You can embed, before and after photos. This displays really beautifully on mobile as well. You could have your list of services or references, and you could have a full list of all your different references that are out here. You could also have, terms of this here. So this is a good example of how you could put these proposals together. So this is exactly what we did. We would have our full list. We would have our virtual assistant go in, scrape all the data, put together the pricing, and then they would send out these proposals, and we would send out $250,000 worth of proposals every single week. That was the target requirement for our virtual assistant that we had, was $250,000 worth of unsolicited proposals a week. So we would send out $1 million worth of proposals a month, $12 million worth of proposals a year. And this was when our business started going boom and really started taking off. Any way that you can leverage virtual assistants in your business, there's lots of ways that you can. Follow-ups. If you have a big project that you need to work on, switching from one CRM system over to another CRM system, and there's just a whole bunch of manual, menial data entry. Take advantage of a virtual assistant to do that rather than you or someone else on your team, because oftentimes, the work is much faster. You can have them, scrape the internet for data, for leads. There's a lot of lead generation experts in here. They can get a lot of leads for you, scraping LinkedIn and a lot of other things like that. But the important part is you have to build your sales machine. So what I'm going to do here to kind of wrap up a little bit is I'm going to kind of close out with just a few slides with some action steps as well as some important things to consider when you're building out a commercial sales machine. Go ahead and pull this up here. Okay. Share my screen. All right. So first off, let's talk about presentation and perceived value. You really have to wow property managers. You have to wow your commercial audiences. There's a lot of really ugly proposals that get sent to these guys. And one thing that we got a comment a lot when we sent these proposals off is that it was modern. It utilized technology. They were very impressed by it. They were impressed by the format. And that was actually one of the reasons why they reached out to us and talked to us. This is Morton's Steakhouse. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been to Morton's Steakhouse, but they bring all of their cuts of meat out to the table in advance. They typically have like a flashlight. It's nice, dimly lit, nice environment. They have a flashlight and they shine on each one of these cuts of meat and they describe in great detail the marbling, how long they've been aged for, what all the different cuts are and what the flavors are going to taste like. And then they have their upsell with the Wagyu beef, and they have that like on its own separate platter where they show you and they tell you about the cows that have been massaged, since they were babies and rubbed in oil and, fed only, beer and barley. So it's, they're building up this perceived value in the presentation. And there's a reason why they charge $100 for a steak. It's because they build up this presentation. So make sure that you're selling the sizzle and not just the steak. With commercial properties, some of the products that you offer could be viewed as just a commodity service. Really give some thought and consideration to what sets you apart from your competitors, why that should matter to the apartment associations or to the commercial associations, and understand that presentation adds a tremendous amount of value and that you can be the high-end service for these commercial properties. This is really, really important, especially when you're getting into a market to where your services will be largely viewed as commodity. They really, really care about the budget. You have to have some kind of competitive differentiation. For us, we would have our service quotes. We would have our presentation folders. Inside of them, we would put our certificate of insurance. We put before and afters, workers' comp. We put our references to the seal. We would have our client references that we put in there. We'd make mention of all of our awards in our folders. We would have all of our awards that we put in there, what our certifications were. And we'd have very specific scripts on how we would present this. So when we go out and we do a cold call and meet with the property managers, we would have these presentation folders with before and after photos, and we would leave them with something substantial. I guarantee you no other cleaning company in our area was doing something similar to this. It's very important to put that stuff together and to make it really stand out, give them that wow factor. Even just stopping by with coffee out of the blue, we found was actually really beneficial. My director of commercial services, he would go do that on a regular basis to just kind of stand out and take care of them. Associations. There's a lot of associations that you can join to take advantage of commercial bidding, especially specifically for multifamily. There's the National Apartment Association, the NAA. There's also IREM, BOMA, and CAI. You guys should write these down and do a little bit of research and find out what your local chapters are like with each of these associations. Especially if you're looking to get into multifamily, the NAA is a very important trade show or a very important association to belong to. If you're really serious about getting involved in this, you have to be there. You have to be local. You have to be visible. You have to be present. You have to attend their lunch and learns. You have to attend their trade shows. You have to attend their different award ceremonies and things that they have. Any networking event that they have, you have to be a part of. This is what our trade show booth looked like. We had half dirty and half clean. so that when people walked by within 5 seconds, they would know exactly what it is that we did without having to really read too many of our signs. They would just know. And we would have a massive turnout at these. We would give away coach bags at these trade shows, and we would leave with 400 to 500 leads, 70 estimate requests. Every single time that we did this, these trade shows for us were worth anywhere between $70,000 and $150,000 worth of work just from one trade show. So it was very lucrative for us. But you have to leverage them, and you have to participate. You can participate with these associations by joining committees. If they have, an education committee, a vendor committee, a trade show committee, a safety committee. A lot of these associations and these chapters will have committees where you can volunteer as a member, but you make some of the tightest knit relationships with these people. And if you think about getting $500,000 a year worth of work, that's only 10 people that could give you $50,000 a year. And in the commercial world with property managers and portfolio managers, it's really easy to find people that will give you $50,000 a year worth of work. We would routinely have portfolio managers that would give us, $100,000 to $300,000 worth of work a year. So developing those relationships and getting involved with them is really a strong way on how you can develop, continue to develop this commercial sales machine. Utilize trade shows as well. So here we go. Bring it home. This is where us as conquerors, that's where we thrive, in the execution phase. This is some serious accountability. And if you guys are serious about this, I don't want this presentation to just be at the end of like, wow, that was a lot of things. You guys have you have a notepad here. You need to now tie real dates to when you're going to execute on this stuff. Real dates. So go into Growth Wheel. Add in, if you have to-do items that you need to do, add them into your growth wheel and set a timeline on when you're going to do this. It may not be the best time for you to do it right now. You may have, shiny object syndrome right now, and you want to put off all your other accountabilities and jump on this right now. It just may not be the correct timing for you to do so. But that doesn't mean that it should just go disappear off into, Neverland, and then you just never actually execute on this. So what you want to do is put a date down to these following items. The first thing that you need to do is put together your list. Put together your list of all your property managers. I'll put the Reference USA list inside of the Conquer group. This video is going to go into Basecamp, so you can go back and review it. Next up is to join an association, especially if you're really serious about commercial. They only cost about like $400 or so bucks a year. They're not very expensive. It's really powerful to have that logo in there and to say you're part of the association when you talk to some of these people. There's a whole bunch more we could talk about with regards to, multifamily, as far as, using things like Net Vendor and Compliance Depot and some of the other ways that you can play, but we'll save that for another time. You need to document your quoting process. This is really a step that you have to do regardless of if you want to have a commercial setting or not. You have to put together really specific processes and video it. And then the last step is to hire a virtual assistant. Once you have all these components together, you can start putting together proposals and start sending them out. The best thing to do is just do it. Just put it together. When we started this, nobody was doing this. I didn't learn this from somebody else. We just tested it out, and we went on a couple bumps, hit a few speed bumps along the way, but we just executed on it and just put it all together. And it was massively impactful for us in our business. And I know it'll be really impactful for you guys in your business as well. So that will conclude our building a sales machine. What I'd like to do is just kind of open up, any questions that you guys might have. I can go back through and do a little bit of Q&A. And we'll spend maybe next 3 to 5 minutes just talking about some questions that you might have. So feel free to put that in. There is about a 15 to 20 second delay from when you actually type your question to when I actually see it. So you'll have to apologize. I'll give you guys a few seconds to actually start typing in some questions there. And then we can go ahead and wrap up. But otherwise, if you're just watching this video on the recording, you can feel free to go ahead and log off now and get started on your execution plan. Okay, so questions here. Chad asks, how did you find email addresses to send estimates to? Let me see here. How did you find email address to send an SMS? I got to start marking these things as questions. Otherwise, they'll start disappearing off my list. Okay. That's a great question. There is lots of ways that you can do this. Reference USA does not provide you with actual email addresses. So one of the things that we did is we hired a virtual assistant to actually call each of these apartment communities and just ask them for their email address. That was another way that we kind of harvested those. It was really simple. They would just call and just say, "Hi, I'm with such and such company. We need to send an estimate for cleaning over to your, to your apartment, or send a estimate for cleaning to your manager. Could I get your manager's address to send that over?" And 99% of them would say yes, and they would just give us our email address. Another way that you can do this is you can reach out to a data company. eFocus Data, I think, is one of the companies that we used. The letter E, Focus Data. And they were a company that we used. I think we'd buy like 1,000 or 1,500 email addresses for like $150. And then we just kind of marry up those lists together. Does the virtual assistant email these proposals, and does it look like the email came from you, not them? A great question. Yes, the virtual assistant would finalize the proposal, put them together, and it would look like it came from us. It would come from actually my director of commercial services email. It would come straight from him. It would have his picture on there, and they would reply back, and my director of commercial services would get that. How do you manage follow-up after you send the first proposal? That's a fantastic question. We actually utilized an Infusionsoft campaign. When we sent these things off, they would get set up into a drip sequence. Better Proposal has options for follow-up that you can take advantage of. The really great, powerful feature about using a software platform that's digital like Better Proposal or Quote Roller is that they notify you when they've opened up the proposal. So you'll get an email notification that says, so-and-so has just opened up the proposal. Now, a little ninja trick that we use, a little hack that we use, was the second we saw that they opened it up, we would literally wait about like 60 seconds. And then I would pick up the phone, or my director of commercial services would pick up the phone. We would call them. And the call would sound like this. Hi, Mary. Hey, I just wanted to call and follow up and just make sure that you got our budget proposal that we sent up. Oh, wow, you're looking at it right now? Oh, that's so crazy. Well, just wanted to see if you had any questions, and I kind of walk you through the proposal. Over on the left side, you can see we have these different tabs. You can click on this, and you can go ahead and click on the pricing tab. And then you have them on the phone while they're looking at the proposal. It's really valuable because you get lots of insight. They'll open up the pricing tab and be like, "Oh, wow, that's a lot." Or they'd say, "Oh, wow, that's not bad." And you could say, how does that compare to your budget? It was really, really, really powerful little trick that we used to actually be on the phone with them when they were looking at the proposal. Because I knew when they clicked on it, it was open on their screen, and it was a good little sales tip. Thanks for bringing that up, Tim. That was a good question to ask. Let's see. On your Better Proposals, did you keep that separate from your CRM since they were budget numbers? Yes, we did. But Better Proposals will keep track of and same with Quote Roller. We'll keep track of your total proposals, what your closing ratios are, your acceptance rates, your total dollar amount of proposals that are sent out. And we just kept all that separate. Once we actually, sold the job, we would migrate all that information over into our CRM system. When you're sending out that many, we just didn't feel like it was necessary to have to get all of those plugged into our CRM system. Can you actually interview a virtual assistant through Freelancer? Yes, absolutely. So when you'll get all these applicants that'll apply for a job, you'll post a job, explain exactly what you're looking for. You'll get all these applicants, and you can do a video thing right inside of Upwork to where we would video interview everybody. I'd be looking right at them, be talking to them, and we would, get information. We would share our passwords to our quoting software using, a program like LastPass. So you don't actually give them the password, you just share it with them. And so that if anything happens, you can just, unplug the LastPass so they couldn't have access to your account anymore. Worked very, very well. But yes, absolutely interview them and talk to them before you hire them on. Another question from Ethan. Did any of the apartment managers know that you're going to email them, or was it all cold emails? Yes, all of them were cold emails. So for me, I really looked at it as 3 buckets. The first bucket that we had was just, actual estimate requests, people that would call us up and say, hey, I have an apartment community, I'd like to get a bid. So that's one. We'd have higher closing ratios on those, obviously. The second bucket was sending out these budget proposals that were completely unsolicited. And it would be under the phrase of, hey, we know that it's budget season right now. We wanted to send you a free budget so that way you'd have numbers to include for your cleaning if you have any cleaning needs. People are actually really appreciative of this. The third bucket that we did was when someone would approach us and we would approach them and we would say, hey, we offer a free service. You can send me an Excel list of all of the properties that you manage, and I will send back to you a full budget matrix. And on that budget matrix, you're going to have a price for every service that we offer that can be done on your property. It's going to be customized just to your property, and we'll have a price for every single one of those. So that is a third bucket that we would take advantage of. So whenever we were at these, trade shows, we would meet a portfolio manager. We would offer that as a service, and oftentimes they would take us up on it because that's actually a pretty value-added service. And then they almost have like a price list for all of their properties customized just to them on one sheet, and we would build it out in the same way that you saw that Excel sheet that we had there. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I want to respect everyone's time. Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. It's time to execute. Go out, work at building your sales machine, put it together. If this was valuable, give me a big thumbs up and say awesome. Say that you're going to execute if you're actually planning on executing on this and putting it together. This is not just another convention class that you go to where you go home with a whole bunch of notes and then they get filed away and they never get done. We have to make sure that you actually execute on this. This could be very powerful for you and your business. I know that I shared a lot of my personal experience here with my cleaning company, but the reality is that no matter what service business you're in, all of this stuff applies. It all applies. And if you have any more questions on specific ways you can brainstorm, get with your coach, get on the Conquer Facebook group, and we'll all help you figure out a good system that can be specific for you. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll see you on the next masterclass. Bye, guys.